Yes, miss.
Okay, before that, good morning, all of you. Good morning, Anne Maria. Please turn on your video and mark your attendance now. Dia, you didn't attend the exam. On Tuesday, I conducted a test paper, but you didn't attend. What's the reason?
Miss, phone konduvarena miss. Phone ഇവിടെ ഇല്ല.
Dia, today evening itself, you should attend that exam and send me your answers. Okay.
Okay, miss.
Okay. So, Anne Maria, how are you? Okay. So, shall we move to our next topic? Yes. Then, please listen your textbook, chapter 5, coal and petroleum, page number 56. Please take page number 56. I will read the text once. Okay, listen carefully. We use various materials for our basic needs. Some of them are found in nature and some have been made by human efforts. Then there is an activity given. Activity 5.1. Make a list of various materials used by us in daily life and classify them as natural and man-made. So we know that there are certain materials which are obtained from our nature itself, that is natural resources, and some others are man-made resources, isn't it? So here you can write the example for natural resources and also what man-made resources. Can you give an example for a natural resource that we obtain from the nature for the survival of living beings?
Trees.
Trees. Okay. Faith, how are you?
Fine.
Okay. Faith, now we are starting our new lesson, chapter 5, coal and petroleum. Please take page number 56 in your textbook. So we know that trees, and we said that trees. So you know forest. Trees are comprising together to form what forest, isn't it? So this forest is an example for a natural resource. Any other natural resource? What is seen in our atmosphere? Just loudly.
Air.
Yeah.
Air.
Air. Air is also a natural resource. So you can list the names. Air, forest. Okay. Then what about the light? From where we obtain light? Sun. Sunlight is also a natural resource, isn't it? So sunlight, you can write sunlight. Then the main important thing, one of the important things that we need to maintain our health and to survive. What?
Water.
Water. Yes. Water is another important natural resource. Okay. We know that there are rivers, ponds, all these are for the as water resource. Then also minerals. Minerals. Page number 56. Freya, good morning. How are you? Fine. Okay. Shreya, now we are starting our new lesson. We are discussing our new topic, that is coal and petroleum, our 5th chapter. Please take page number 56. All of you get that portion? Page number 56. Okay. So we know there are certain natural and man-made or artificial resources are there. The natural resources, I told you the example that natural resources are what? Air, water, sunlight, forest, or minerals. Minerals also you can write it down. Minerals. Then in the other column, there is asking about man-made resources. Which are the man-made resources? What are the man-made resources?
Buildings.
Yeah, buildings or materials used for building. That is plastics or clothes. The dresses that we wear, clothes. All these are artificial. So clothes, plastic. You can write anything, any cosmetics or cements or anything you can write. Okay. Okay. So all these are the natural and man-made resources. Did you write the examples? Yes. Then we can move the next topic, that is, does this list include air, water, soil and mineral? There is a question given, that is, in this list include air, water, soil and mineral. Isn't it? All these are included. All these are belongs to the natural resources. Since all these are obtained from the nature and they are called what? Natural resources. Underline that sentence. What are natural resources? The substance that obtained from the nature are called natural resources. Can air, water and soil be exhaustible by the human activities? You have already studied about water in class 7. Is water limitless resource? That is, we know that certain substance like this air, water or any substance are exhaustible or non-exhaustible. That is the question. That is, they are exhaustible or non-exhaustible. Is it exhaustible? No. Some of them are exhaustible, but some others are non-exhaustible. Whether it is a natural, they can be exhaustible, but artificial or man-made things are mostly exhaustible ones, and natural things like air and sunlight, these are inexhaustible, but in case of forest can be exhaustible, isn't it? All forest, all these things are exhaustible. What do you mean by exhaustible and inexhaustible? What do you mean by exhaustible? What does that term mean? Tell me in Malayalam the word meaning. Exhaustible. Which means the substance which can be destroyed. Okay. If anything, any destroy or a damage will happen, that we can say that it is an exhaustible substance. We can exhaust it. Okay. So there will be exhaustible and inexhaustible material. Then there is a question, that is, can air, water and soil can air, water and soil be exhausted by human activities? Be exhausted? No. Then, in the light of availability of various resources in nature, natural resources can be broadly classified into two kinds. So, we studied about natural resources. What are natural resources? The substance that which obtain or occur from the nature are called what? Natural resources. And these natural resources are mainly classified into two. What are they? Inexhaustible natural resource and exhaustible natural resource. So, what is an inexhaustible natural resource? Next one, these resources are present in unlimited quantity in nature and are not likely to be exhausted by the human activities. Isn't it? They are present in unlimited. Can we count the amount of air? No. Can we obtain the amount of sunlight? No. They are unlimited and that we cannot be exhausted by the human, isn't it? Their numbers or their amount cannot be reduced or destroyed by the human activities. So such substance, such resources, natural resources are called what? Inexhaustible natural resources. Okay. Underline the sentence and study that definition with example. Then, what are exhaustible natural resources? Next one. Please read it, Sean. What are exhaustible natural resources?
Amount of this resource in nature is limited, then can be extracted by human activities.
Exhausted.
Of these resources are forest, wildlife, mineral, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc.
Okay, very good. That is, the amount of these resources in nature is limited. So the exhaustible natural resource, what it is limited, which means it is limited and can be destroyed or by the destroyed or reduced its amount by the use of activities of the human being that are exhaustible natural resources. For example, forest. We can destroy forests, isn't it? Deforestation. Did you hear about deforestation? Yes. What do you mean by deforestation?
Cutting trees.
Okay, cutting down trees. Then wildlife, minerals, coal, petroleum, natural gas. Or these are what exhaustible resources. Okay. So do you understand the difference between inexhaustible natural resource and exhaustible natural resource? Inexhaustible means they are present in unlimited amount, and exhaustible means they are present in only a limited amount. Okay. And there is an activity given in textbook, that is activity 5.2. It is a group activity. Now we cannot do that, but I will explain what is that activity mentioned here. Okay, it's a group activity. Take some containers. So before doing that activity, you should take some containers and fill them with popcorn, peanut, roasted gram, toffee. Then divide the students into groups of 7 each. So what we want to do? First, we want to take some containers, and it is a group activity. So there is a group of students is required to do this experiment. Okay. So we want to divide the students into 7 groups each, 7 members each. Okay. There is a 7 members. If there will be a 3 group, each group contains 7 members. Then further divide each group into 3 subgroups. So each group again divided to what? 3 subgroups. Then containing 1, 2, and 4 students, which means that what? If there is a group, this is the 7 students in a group, then we want to divide this group into subgroups. So there will be 3 subgroups in this group, and in the subgroup, first group includes only 1 student, second group contains 2 students, and the remaining 4 students. Remaining 4 students were in the third group. Okay, these are the subgroups containing 1, 2, and 4 students. So label them as first, second, and third generation respectively. What these students mentioned, all these are different generations. So you know about generation. Your mother, father are in one generation, you are in another generation, like that. So all these three students are in different generations. They are from 3 generations. Then these subgroups represent the consumer. So the subgroups are mentioned about the consumers. As population is growing, second and third generation have large number of consumers, isn't it? We know that nowadays our population is growing day by day, isn't it? So what the second and third generation have large number of consumers. That we said in the first group only 1 member is there, but in the second group 2 members are there. That is the second subgroup. In the third subgroup, remaining 4 members. Remaining 4 members are in the third subgroup. That is in the third generation. So the population is increased as the generation is whether in the second and third generation. Then put 1 full container for each group on a table. Then what we want to do? We fill some containers with popcorn, peanut, and toffee. So we want to put a full container in front of each group and ask the consumers of the first generation from each group to consume eatable from the container of their group. What does it mean? We should ask the group member, first generation group member, to come and take the eatable things like a popcorn or a peanuts, like a eatable things, and consume them. Did they take the full from the container? No, they will be kept some for the other generation, isn't it? If I ask to Shreya to come and take the peanuts or what popcorn from the in the container, did you take full? Did you take? No. You will left some for your friends from the other generation, isn't it? You did not take the over full. Then why we kept that? Why we leave some for our other generation? We know that our elders will remain some for our next generation, isn't it? So this is the experiment. That is the experiment shown to us. That is, ask the consumers for the first generation from each group to consume the eatables from the container of their group. Then again, this experiment is repeated with the second generation also. Now ask the second generation consumers from each group to do the same. Ask the students to observe carefully the availability of eatables in each container. Then what we want to do, till the last, we should ask to the students how much amount of that thing, either popcorn or peanut, is remained in that container. Isn't it? Only some will be left. All others will be consumed by the each generation, and some others will be left. So we can say that there will be, we will left the each generation, our generations will be left something for the other generation. Isn't it? Okay. Then assume that the eatables in the container represent the total availability of an exhaustible natural resource like coal, petroleum, or natural gas. Each group may have a different consumption pattern. So we want to assume that these containers contain coal, petroleum, and natural gas. We did not consume all, but we consume in a different way. Maybe Anne Maria consumed a more than that of Shreya, or Sean consumed much more than that of Faith. Like that. Your consumption is maybe different number. Okay. Then are the earlier generation of any group too greedy? Too greedy means what? ആർത്തി. അതായത് എന്താ, ആർത്തിയായിട്ട് മൊത്തം ആദ്യത്തെ ജനറേഷൻ ഫുൾ എടുത്തോണ്ട് പോകുന്ന ചെയ്യോ അങ്ങനെ? No, they are not greedy, isn't it? So we did not do that. So are the earlier generation of any group too greedy? It may be no. Then it may be that the earlier generation in some groups were concerned about coming generation. So what is the conclusion? The earlier generations are maybe concerned about the coming generation. They are bothered about the coming generation. So they left some for the other generation. Okay. And left something for them. In this chapter, we will learn about some exhaustible and natural resources like coal, petroleum, and natural gas. These were formed from the dead remaining of living organisms. So these are known as fossil fuels. Underline that sentence, fossil fuels. From where we get these fossil fuels, or from where we get this coal, petroleum? These are the products of dead matter. Okay, from the earlier generation. So all these provide something for the coming generation, isn't it? So what are fossil fuels? Read loudly. Unmute your mic. What are fossil fuels? The substance that formed from the dead remain of living organisms that are called fossil fuels. Fossils or fossil fuels. Okay. Then we are discussing different types of fossil fuels or exhaustible substance. In this chapter, it is the main thing. We are discussing about natural resources, and natural resources can be divided into two types. What are they? Unmute your mic and tell me.
Inexhaustible natural resources, exhaustible natural resources.
Yes, inexhaustible natural resource and exhaustible natural resource. Inexhaustible natural resource, we know that that is air, sunlight, etc. We no need to learn more about that. But exhaustible natural resources are like they are limited and they will be extracted from different ways. There are different methods to extract these exhaustible natural resources. Did you hear about coal mining? Coal mining. Anybody? Did you heard about coal mining? Do you know about petroleum industries? Yes. From where we obtain petrol and diesel like that? Unmute your mic and tell me. Anne Maria, can you please unmute your mic? Did you hear about? Yes, tell me.
the bottom inside the earth.
Yeah, inside the earth. That is called mining. Mining means we put down the earth and consume it. Okay. So we can mine different types of like coal, petrol, gold also mined, isn't it? From where we get obtain gold, it is also from the under the earth, so, isn't it? So it is also a type of mining. So we are discussing in this chapter about the different types of exhaustible substance. The first one is coal. Okay. Shall we move? What is coal? You can see in that figure 5.1, page number 57. What is it? You may have seen coal or heard about it. It is as hard as stone and is black in color. Underline that sentence, the peculiarity or the texture of a coal. It is hard as stone and is black in color. Then coal is one of the fuel used to cook food. Underline that sentence also. What is the use of a coal? Coal is a fuel which is used to cook food. Then earlier it was used in railway engines to produce steam to run the engine. Do you know about that? KalsariTivandi? We heard about that? Yeah. So in earlier times, we use it in railways to produce the fuel as a fuel to run the train engine. And it is also used in thermal power plants to produce electricity. The other use of coal is production of electricity. That is, it is used in thermal power plants. Coal is also used as a fuel in various industries. So these are the main 5 points are there. Coal is one of the fuel that is used to cook food, and it is used in the railway engines to produce steam to run the engine. It is used in the thermal power plant to produce electricity. Coal is used as a fuel in various industries, and coal is a hard stone and it is black in color. These are the 5 points that about coal. Okay. Study well. What is a coal or describe the coal. Then here the story of coal. From where or how this coal is formed. Okay. Here it is the story. That is about 300 million years ago, the earth had dense forests in low-lying wetland areas. You understand? What does it mean? About 300 years ago, there in our earth, there is a dense forest in the low-lying areas. Okay. What happens when there is a dense forest in the low-lying areas? When it is flood or any soil erosion will happen, it will go down, destroyed and go down to the earth. Okay. So due to the natural process like a flooding, or these forests got buried under the soil. They are deposited under the soil because of what? Because of the after effect of the natural process like a flood. Then as more soil is deposited over them, they were compressed. Okay, what happens if more soil were deposited over and over? The trees under the soil become compressed and it will go under the earth, down and down. Okay, then the temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper. So when they sank deeper and deeper, the temperature of the surface, the temperature and the pressure of the surface also become rise. Under the high pressure and high temperature, dead plants got slowly converted into coal. Then how it is converted? That dead plant get converted into coal under this high pressure and high temperature. Understand how coal is formed? Okay. Then, as coal contains many carbon, mainly carbon. Carbon is the most common element found in coal. Please underline the term carbon. Which is the element or coal contains which element mainly? The answer is carbon. As coal contains mainly carbon, the slow process of conversion of a dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. Then what is carbonization? the conversion, the process of conversion of this dead vegetation or dead plant into coal. Okay, the process of conversion of this dead vegetation or dead plants into coal is called what? What? Tell me yeah, carbonization. Carbonization, underline that sentence. Since it was formed from the remains of vegetation, coal is also called a fossil fuel. A coal mine shown in figure 5.2. You can see a coal mine. Under the earth, the coal is extracted. Did you see a coal mine? So maybe this area where forests were what destroyed or as a reason because of a flood or soil erosion, the forests were buried under the soil, and due to high temperature and pressure, when it deeply go down the soil, what will happen? The temperature and the pressure rises, and this vegetation or these dead plants converted into what? Coal. Okay, this coal will be extracted and used for the purpose like for making petroleum, diesels, etc. Okay, clear? Then, when heated in air, coal burns and produces mainly carbon dioxide gas. Coal is processed in industries to get some useful products such as coke, coal tar, and coal gas. So, we use coal in different industries to make what? Coal tar. Did you see coal tar? The tar used to for road construction. Did you see coal tar?
Yes, miss.
So we use this coal for making coke. Coke is another type of a substance similar to that of coal, like a rocky substance that we will mention later. That is coke and coal tar. Coal gases are also prepared. Okay. So these are the mainly uses of coal. So did you understand how coal is extracted? Anybody can explain how coal is formed? You can read your text. You can look in the textbook and explain. Anybody? Who will explain how coal is formed? Then what is the coal? Shreya, can you tell me what is coal? Unmute your mic. Can you tell me about coal? Coal is an exhaustible natural substance, isn't it? Unmute your mic. Then what's the peculiarities of coal? It is a
It is as hard as stone and it is black in color.
yes.
Coal is one of the fuel used to cook food.
Okay.
It was used in railway engines to produce steam in run the engine. It is also used in thermal power plants to produce electricity. Coal is also used as a fuel in various industries.
Okay. Likewise, coal, petrols, and diesels are all mining. You know, petroleum mining industries are also there. We mine coal like from the dead remains of a vegetation or a plant. Likewise, petrols and diesels or other exhaustible substances are mined from the earth. Okay. So the main uses of coal is it is used for the cooking, used as a gas for cooking food, and also used in the railway engines, earlierly in the railway engines to produce steam to run the train or engine. Then what it is used in the thermal power plant to produce electricity, and it is used as a fuel in various type of various industries. Okay, and coal is obtained from the dead remains of vegetation, dead vegetation remains. And the process of conversion of this dead vegetation into coal is called what? Ijaz? What's that? The process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal. Tell me. Faith. Just tell me.
Fossil fuels.
No. Fossil fuels means what? The dead remains of living organism. The dead remains of living organism found in the earth are called fossil fuels. The dead vegetation, the process of conversion of dead vegetation means what? Dead vegetation, which means dead plants or dead trees. Okay, the process of conversion of that dead vegetation into coal is called
Fossil fuels.
no, Shreya. Tell me, Sean.
Carbonization.
Yeah, carbonization. Don't be confused about carbonization and fossil fuel. Fossil fuel is the dead remaining of living organism. Okay, all the living organism. They include plants also. But the process of conversion of this dead vegetation into coal, that is the term, into coal. You remember that term. Okay, into coal. That is called carbonization. ഈ ഡെഡ് വെജിറ്റേഷനെ കോളിലേക്ക് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആ ഒരു പ്രോസസ്സിനല്ലേ നമ്മൾ കാർബണൈസേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയണേ. കാരണം എന്താണ്? കോളിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് കൂടുതലും ഉള്ളത് ഏത് എലമെന്റ് ആണ്? കാർബൺ ആണ്. മോസ്റ്റ്ലി കണ്ടെയ്ൻ കാർബൺ. സോ ഒരു ഡെഡ് വെജിറ്റേഷനെ കോളായിട്ട് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആ ഒരു പ്രോസസ്സാണ് കാർബണൈസേഷൻ. ക്ലിയർ? It is very important. The main definitions in this chapter are what are natural resource, different types of natural resource, that is what are inexhaustible natural resource and exhaustible natural resource. What are fossil fuels, that is the dead remain of living organism present in the earth are called fossil fuels. Then what are coal and its peculiarities. Then what is carbonization? The process of converting dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. Okay. Then some other exhaustible materials from the coal that is obtained from the coal is called coke, coal tar, coal gas. All these are useful products of coal. Coal is processed in the industries to get some useful products such as coke, coal tar, and coal gas. Okay. Then, can you please read what is the coke? Ijaz, can you read what is coke? What is coke?
Miss, story of coal ano.
Not coal. After the story of coal, we say that coal is processed in industries to get some useful products. From coal, we obtain coke, coal tar, and coal gas. Then below that, there is a definition of coke given. C-O-K-E, coke.
It is a taut, porous, and black
Not
substance.
tough. It is a tough. That is thick and more hard, which means.
It is tough, porous, and black substance. It is an almost pure form of carbon. Coke is used in the manufacture of steel and in the extraction of many metals.
Yeah. So coke is a tough, porous, and a black substance. It also looks like that of a coal. Similar, like a rock, You can see, you can check the images of coke in Google. Okay. It is a rocky image, rock-like image, and it is tough and it is porous. Porous means what? Which means small pores are there. Okay, porous. You know certain stones which is porous in texture. Okay, so and it is a black substance, and it is an almost pure form of carbon. So we know that coal is mainly contained carbon and coke. In coke also, it is a pure form of carbon. Coke is used in the manufacture of steel. Then what are the uses of coke? What are the uses? Used in the manufacture of steel and in the extraction of many metals. Underline the important. These what are coke and its peculiarity. These all sentences is important. Okay. Then about coal tar. Please read about coal tar. Sean.
It is a black thin liquid with an
Is it
thin
thin or
thick thick liquid with an unpleasant smell. It is a
Unpleasant smell.
unpleasant smell. It is a mixture of about 200 substances products obtained from coal tar are used as starting materials for manufacturing various substances used in everyday life and in industry like synthetic dyes,
Drugs.
drugs, explosives, perfumes, plastics, paints, uh, photographic material, roofing material, etc. Interestingly,
Naphthalene.
naphthalene boards are used to repel moths and other insects are also obtained from coal tar.
Coal tar. Okay, it will be discussed in our next class. Our time is going to over, so you can leave now. And before the next class,